Look, I don't know if James Gladstone is going to work out as the GM of the Jaguars, but I at least like the fact that the Jaguars have a GM that, on paper, seems like he's trying. Welcome, everybody, to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Garinai, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about another trade that the Jaguars made, their third trade in the last 10 days. Last week, they traded Luke Fortner away to the New Orleans Saints for Kalen Saunders. A few days ago, they traded away Johnson to the Philadelphia Eagles, giving up on that tackle for a 7th-round pick. And now James Gladstone is at again with yet another trade, this time acquiring a big body wide receiver, acquiring Tim Patrick from the Detroit Lions, the former Denver Bronco wideout as well. I'm here to break down what this move is, why I like this move a lot for the Jaguars, and why this is a very good sign for James Gladstone and this team going forward. It is not surprising that the Jaguars upgraded their wide receiver room. If you've been paying attention to the Jaguars, it is not surprising whatsoever that they wanted a big body wideout. Last week, Vele got traded away from the Denver Broncos to the New Orleans Saints. That 7th-round pick that the Broncos had last year, had over 400 yards last year as a rookie. He is on the older side of things, going to be 28 years old this season, but he got traded away to the Saints for a 4th-round pick, 6'5", 210 pounds. And when Sean Payton was asked about the trade, I should say, Sean Payton said that in trading away Vele to the Saints, that there were a few suitors, and he mentioned Jacksonville specifically. He said that the Jaguars were one of the teams that called the Broncos about Vele. Obviously, they couldn't work out the price because Vele went to the Saints, but it did show that the Jaguars were looking to upgrade that room, and it's not too surprising because they didn't really have a veteran wideout, nor do they have a big body wideout. No one on the Jaguars is over 6'2" at the wide receiver position. On top of that, you didn't have anyone that had a lot of experience. Brian Thomas, great receiver, obviously, but he is entering his 2nd year. Travis Hunter, we'll see what happens with him. I like the guy a lot, but obviously he's a rookie at the end of the day. Parker Washington, he's entering his 3rd season. So he's pretty young and he hasn't started a whole lot of games. De'Ami Brown, he's technically the veteran on this team. He's been in the league the longest of all the wide receivers, but he's only started 10 career games. You don't have a veteran wideout, nor do you have a big body wideout. In comes Tim Patrick, traded by the Detroit Lions in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. The irony in all of this with the Patrick trade with the Lions is the fact that Patrick became expendable because of the great play of Isaac DeSlaw, who was absolutely sensational this preseason, maybe one of the best players in the entire NFL this preseason. He was a 3rd-round pick by the Lions. The reason why the Lions got him in the 3rd round was because they traded up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars got 2 future 3rd-round picks so the Lions could trade up and take the Arkansas wideout, and that made Patrick expendable, and now Patrick is a Jaguar. So it is funny how all of that connects with each other. Now, Tim Patrick, very good receiver with the Denver Broncos. He signed a big extension in Denver, then the injury bug really hit him. Torn ACL in 22, torn Achilles in 23, ended up getting released, found a home on the Lions, and looked pretty solid as a wide receiver 3 last year. Got some votes for comeback player of the year, 33 catches, 394 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He fits a very important need in Jacksonville as that big body guy. Oddly enough, the same exact build as Vele, 6'5", 210 pounds. He's a good run blocker. He's a good receiver when he's healthy, and it makes this wide receiver room very, very deep. We knew that the Jaguars were always going to be in the market for another wide receiver, especially because no one really separated themselves as wide receiver 5. That was kind of a disappointing battle. Trenton Irwin, Chandler Brayboy, Dorian Singer, Austin Trammell. Trammell won the job by default, probably because of what he did on special teams, but we knew at the end of the day he was not a solid receiver if you put him on the field. So having a guy like Tim Patrick, you have 5 guys that can legitimately play and have shown that they can play at the NFL level, except for Travis Hunter, obviously, who has not shown they can play at the NFL level just yet because he's a rookie, but we assume that he is going to be very good at the NFL level. I like this move a lot for Jacksonville, and I like what James Gladstone is doing. The Jaguars still have 11 picks after all of this. They trade away Johnson to the Philadelphia Eagles. They get Tim Patrick. Johnson was not making the team. Patrick obviously is making the team and fits a very important role for Jacksonville. So in essence, the Jaguars just traded down about 25 spots to get a guy that's going to make the team and fills a need. Pretty good if you ask me. Pretty good. The Jaguars still have 11 picks to work with. Obviously, they don't have their first-round pick in the Travis Hunter trade, but they have their second, they have their third, 2 other thirds. They've got a bunch of fourths and sevenths. And what I like about James Gladstone from everything I've seen so far, again, I don't know if it's going to work out. We haven't seen the Jaguars play a game, but it seems like there is a vision here with Gladstone. He is not just sitting on his hands. If something doesn't work out, he's not like Trent Baalke, where he's like, nothing we can do about it. He actually pivots. He has a game plan. Trent Baalke, you might remember how bad he was. There weren't really a lot of moves that he made during the offseason. A lot of moves they made once the season started. Once the draft was done, that was pretty much the roster. And he wouldn't do a whole lot to improve the roster after that. Whatever it was in May, that was what it was in September. No matter how bad it was, no matter how glaring the holes were. You saw with the NFL draft. He would trade down, get some more picks, and then he couldn't trade up with those assets. And he was like, well, it takes 2 to tango. We couldn't find a trade partner. Gladstone actually knows how to pivot. If something doesn't go well, he will go to plan B. He wanted to draft a defensive end in the NFL draft. Didn't work out. He admitted it. And what did he do immediately after? He signed Emmanuel Ogbah and signed Dewan Smoot, giving the Jaguars some defensive line depth. He knew that Luke Fortner was not making the team. He saw that there was a need at defensive tackle for some depth at that spot with the injuries to Armstead and Mason Smith. So what did he do? He traded away Fortner for Saunders. He knew that wide receiver 5 was an issue. So what did he do? He didn't just hope that Austin Trammell would somehow become good and didn't just hope that Trammell would gain 25 pounds and grow another 3 inches. He actually made a move and traded for Tim Patrick and got the guy that he wanted. Even though Vele couldn't come to the Jaguars, he ended up getting a similar guy in terms of the mold and the body type. I like what James Gladstone is doing. He is aggressive. He is a guy that knows how to utilize his assets. The fact that you trade away Fortner and Johnson, 2 guys who are not making the team, you got a veteran defensive tackle for depth and a veteran wideout who can block and is a big body guy that the Jaguars did not have. That is great asset management. Only giving up a 6, getting a 7. So you trade down 20 spots, 25 spots, something in that ballpark to get 2 guys that are on the team that are veterans that are going to help you out on paper. That's pretty good if you ask me. And you still have 11 picks to work with to upgrade the roster if need be at the deadline or with any other moves 1 week before the season starts. I don't know if this is it for Gladstone, but I do like this move a lot, especially if Patrick plays like he did last year, and especially if he plays like he did in Denver before the injuries derailed his career there. This is a really good move. The Jaguars, do they have the best receiving room in football? Of course not. Of course not. Obviously, Cincinnati, Philly, a lot of good options there. Minnesota now with the Thielen move, especially when Addison comes back. But they might have one of the deepest rooms. They might have one of the deepest rooms. I like everyone in that room 1 through 5, and we're going to see what happens this season. But Trevor Lawrence gets another weapon. You get another weapon in the running game in terms of run blocking. You got a veteran wideout. I like this move a lot for the Jaguars. And Tim Patrick, welcome to Duval. This is going to be an interesting season for sure. But there's definitely hope based on what James Gladstone has done with the roster this offseason, showing that he will not sit on his laurels and will actually make acquisitions if there are holes on the team to be filled. But what are your thoughts on the Tim Patrick move? Do you like the move for Detroit? Do you like the move for Jacksonville? Do you think it's a fair trade? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And that is going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you hit that like button down below, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel, because we post every single day on here about the weird and the wacky history of the NFL with stories like this one they may not have heard of before. Until next time, this is Jaguar9 signing off, and as always, go Jags.